Hello, and welcome to Meet the Author, a show where we explore the world through the imagination of talented writers. On this show, we will talk with authors from Laurel, Prince George's County, the DMV, and beyond. Our guest author today is Miss Sheila Mae, a native Washingtonian that we can surely say has a bit of performance bug in her. Ms. Hayes has been an actor, singer, songwriter, and now has added author to her list of accomplishments. Hi, Sheila. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Christine.
Good to see you.
I know, long time no see.
Okay. So we're just going to talk about your background a little bit.
Okay.
So you are from Washington, D.C.
Yes.
And you attended Duke Ellington School of Performing Arts.
Yes.
You studied theater at Howard University.
Yes.
And then you studied theater at Pratt University in Utica.
Yes. Yes.
So tell us about doing performing arts in those universities. How does that work?
For the latter 2 years is when you get into the meat and potatoes of what you want your degree in, which was theater with me, even though I didn't complete it. But the first 2 years, you know, it's basically English literature 101,
Okay.
and I'm like, I struggled through that. But then I was like, oh my God, I just want to get into my performing arts.
Okay.
So that's how that was. And it was very in-depth, but because of life situations, I didn't stay with it. So.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah.
So the studies in theater landed you in acting naturally. So
Right.
we want to talk about some of the roles that you were able to land based on your studies.
Well, you know, before I went to Duke Ellington, early 70s, I was running around everywhere in D.C. getting free classes.
Okay.
Back alley theater, Logan Elementary School, taking dance classes, voice lessons, anywhere I can get free classes. And then I went to Duke Ellington, and then I went to the universities, came back, and then I heard something through a friend and was like, hey, go and audition. So I landed 2 principal roles with a movie, and I played a drug dealer, and I was just acting.
Okay.
Only acting. It was a drug dealer, and it was interesting because growing up in Northeast DC around Trinidad Avenue, I was around that kind of stuff. So it was easy for me to portray. Like sometimes as an actress, you have to go and do research.
Right.
But it was already in me because I was constantly around that negativity, even though I survived.
Right.
But it was easy for me to do. So the only thing I had to really do is memorize the lines because the acting came on. It was natural.
Okay.
It was natural.
It sounds interesting, to say the least.
It was.
So then, after your acting stint, you took a break to raise your children.
Yeah, I did because when we had a premiere at Lincoln Theater in Northwest DC, my daughter was in college at UMES, and her expression, like she was afraid for me.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, it's their time. It's not my time. Even though I want to continue my acting career, but it was my children's time, and I didn't want to miss anything. A lot of times you hear on TV the actors and actresses, oh, I missed this and I missed that. And I immediately shut it down, number one, because I'm a mom, and I felt my daughter. So with that, I was like, hey, you know what? Let me just sit back and wait. If it was meant to be, it'll happen at a later time. So
Right.
now she has a degree, and my son went into the military, and now I have an empty nest. So now,
You can do some more stuff.
exactly.
But that's the choice that we make when we become
Yes.
moms, right? We have to
Yes.
make that
Yes.
sacrifice. But
Yes.
like you said, it's worth it.
It was.
And we make
It
a
was.
decision to do that.
It was, because I'm still here. As long as you can breathe on earth, you have opportunities.
You sure do.
You have opportunities, but you only have that one time to make the right decision when it comes to your children.
Right.
So that's
That
what I
brief
did.
amount of time.
Right.
And so when you did take that break, though, because you do have the acting bug in you and
Yeah.
the performing bug
Yeah.
in you,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
did stay in the performing arena. So share with us what you did during that time.
You know, I got a couple of go-go bands. I ain't gonna lie.
From DC, no
I'm
doubt.
from DC, you know. So I did a couple of go-go bands, and I did a couple of, you know, birthday parties, and you know, I sung on stage and for theater like a voiceover. You know, I didn't like that, but it was a learning experience because there's a market out there I'm learning now.
Right.
So for voiceover, so I did that, and I got paid, and the next thing you know, stuff started happening again with life, and I chilled out. The next thing you know, I just started writing songs stuff like that for people.
Okay. So you kept things moving, like a little
I
bit
did.
quieter, but you kept things moving. Like you said, you were singing, so that turned into writing songs.
Right.
And that turned into writing books. So see
Right.
how everything flows together?
Right,
So
right.
kind of describe how that transition
And
worked
you know
for
what?
you.
It just happened.
Okay.
It just happened. Stuff just started coming in to my mind, all these different characters, and I heard a voice. Now, I'm not crazy,
Okay.
but this is the creative side. Things is, this down in the Bayou, which is about this happening, this happened. I was like, what is going on? Because I know how to write songs. I never wrote a book. So I was like, well, let me get this out of my brain.
Right.
So that's when I started writing, and then all these characters came into play, and I was like, what is this? So, but the thing is, with me being an actress, I put it in a screenplay format.
Okay.
I don't know, writing a book, me write a book, I'm like, I'm an actress, I don't know. So I wrote it in a screenplay format, and as time went on, I would give it to different people, say, hey, what do you think about this idea? What do you think? And one gentleman who was a retired marshal, he looked at it, he said, hey, have you ever thought about putting this in a book? I said, a book? Me? Writing in third party, being descriptive?
Right.
Format, what? I don't know nothing about that, but divine intervention.
Right, and you got it done, right?
I got it done.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Yep.
speaking about sharing it with people, so we do have a little bit of history.
Yeah, we do,
we worked
we
together a
do.
little bit, so I
We did.
had a chance to
You was my
know
first,
you.
yes, you were my
Right.
first editor. You were my
Right.
first editor. And I was like, oh my gosh. But I remember when you was editing the book, and I was like, Christine, how's it going? Oh, Sheila, I'm not going to lie. I was reading the book, girl. It was so good. I forgot to edit. I was like, what? So we got through that. So
Right, so
yes,
that was very
yes.
interesting. So
It was.
like it's
It
been a
was.
while. So tell us
Yeah.
how long it's been since you've been working on the book.
10 years. It's been 10 years. And it's not because of writer's block or lack of anything. It was just life.
Right, right.
Life. And first book, and I took my time because I'm in control.
Right.
It's no rush. I enjoyed what I was writing. But the funny thing is, Christine, is that I had no idea starting out that it was going to be about my mother's life.
Okay.
It didn't start out that way.
Okay.
It just turned into that way because the characters were coming at me in that direction. I had no control over the characters
Okay.
at all.
So yeah, we're going to talk some more about the book and a couple different characters.
Okay.
We'll get into that a
Okay.
little bit.
Okay.
So we had a chance to sit down with some local book club members to talk about your book. So we just want to take a look at some of the questions they had for you and share that
Okay.
with our viewers, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Who told you enough for you to write that book?
God.
Put it out there.
I'm
Who was Lily Mae pregnant by? Who baby was that? Billie Jean.
Was it the
Pastor?
what? Oh, because the way it was written, it was
It
written.
was
to
a
pastor. I told you. Now that's
But
real
she was
life.
white.
I told you. We knew because the way she wrote it was like it. It had.
But you see how intrigued it was because I didn't let it straight out. It could've been-
Because I thought it was Boogaloo's baby.
Yeah. We'll go.
So I want to know, because the movie was pretty long the way you did it. Yeah, but I love the way you wrote it.
And
And I followed it all the way through to as far as I went.
But you see, the beginning part was down in the bayou. It said at first the Holy Spirit gave me colored folk.
Right.
Wasn't the black folks, but back then in the 60s, we were colored.
Right.
We were colored. So,
You gave a history in the beginning.
exactly.
That's exactly what you did. You gave a history.
And then
So
we did
what
one
made
that
you
was-
put this story to paper? How long did it take you to reconcile in your mind, I'm gonna put this story in a
Right.
book?
Divine intervention. Okay, that's the only thing I can say because I am an actress, and like I say, it just came to me. I'm a retired law enforcement, and where I was working at, it just came. Now everyone knows, if you're of God, if you're of the Spirit, things come to you. Then it's going to be up to you to react to the Holy Spirit. So I was like, okay, let me write. I just started writing. It was therapeutic. I was going through some stuff with where I was working at, and I just started writing. So I put it in a screenplay format. And I just kept writing, and one thing led to another. I retired with PG County law enforcement, and I gave it to a guy I came across who was a retired United States Marshal. Then he said, hey, have you ever thought about putting this in a book? And then Spirit smacked me. But see, God used people as a
Right.
as a
Right.
lesson.
Definitely.
So I was like, a book? Me?
Wow.
First of all, you gotta be descriptive, third party sense, you gotta go into detail. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. Yes, you do.
You did it.
And I started writing, but like, I didn't know nothing about formatting, no fonts, the manuscript that needs to be presented to. It's a whole lot of stuff you need to do in writing a book. And I had no idea, but God took me in the directions. And that's why in the beginning I said this book is dedicated to him because it's his book. Because I had no idea that it was even going to come into existence.
So you've been working on it for 10 years?
10 years.
Yeah.
It took 10 years. It's my first book, and it's no set time.
Yeah.
And people were trying to put pressure on me. When is punishment? Hey, this is my book. This is for me.
Yeah.
I'm in control. I'm crying. I'm laughing with my moms because I'm taking her back down memory lane now. And are you okay, Mom? Baby, I'm okay. Go ahead. Ask me anything. I asked her, and she simply told me. And I had no idea that it was going that direction. Then all of a sudden, you know, sometimes when you're writing in character, all you hear is the character. And you write. Your hands can't keep up fast enough with the brains that the stuff the character is telling you. Then my spirit opened up and I said, hold on, wait a minute. Subconsciously, I was writing about my moms. And I said, Mom, I'm writing a book about you. What do you mean you're writing a book about me? I said, I don't know where it came from. But now I do know. But I said, then that's when I started asking questions.
Well, you think your mom wanted her story to get out after you started and asking questions?
She got excited.
That's what I mean. It made her sort of relive and also flush.
Yeah. And that's exactly what happened.
You have to, so that may help her too. So
and she it did. That's exactly what it did because there was a lot of stuff, like you guys say, a lot of stuff goes on behind closed doors. No one talks about it because it was taboo.
Right, exactly.
And because of your position in society, especially when it comes to pastors and congregations, and you have a certain image you want to maintain, but the pastor is just as... So that's what went on in the household.
Okay, Sheila, so now we want to talk more about the book. We talked about characters and stuff like that. So tell us how you came up with the idea about the book.
Well, that's funny. I never came up with it. It came to me.
Okay.
It came to me. However, the title, Someone Like Me, because of the different characters and the situations that are happening in this book, someone like me means that everyone, I don't care what nationality you're from, what color, creed, anything, someone has these characters in their family. Okay. And I digested the characters so that that individual that's reading the book can understand their life. And then you're like, oh, they're going to be able to relate because it's someone like me. It could be even yourself.
Okay.
I
like that. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some more about the book. It's set in the South in the 1960s.
Right.
So how did you do research or prepare for that time frame?
Like I said, the characters were coming to me. So as I was writing, like I got information in about LSU, Louisiana State University, Tuskegee University, and different subjects that my characters were studying at that time. So I said, oh, wait a minute, let me do research. That's another reason why it took 10 years, because I had to do research to make sure everything coincided with that time period.
Right.
So when I did, lo and behold, I was, oh, Jesus, it's just like this. It is the way it is. Even with the police officers, the color of their uniforms back then, was it this certain color? Okay. Yes, it was. So I was like, oh, okay, so I'm on the right track. So it came to me. It just came.
Right. But then, like you said, you did some research to make sure it was accurate
right,
information.
because I don't know anything about books. Screenplay, okay. Read, but when you go in depth, you have to do research because other people are going to be reading this book.
Right, and checking you to make sure it's right.
Wait a minute, that I it's not dotted, or that T is not, that doesn't make any sense. So even though it's a book of fiction, it still has a lot of truth in it.
Okay.
So that's the reason why I say that.
Okay, and something else interesting I noticed in the book, like you said, you were doing your research and everything like that, but when you read it, there's some slang terminology throughout, and you say stuff like someone was selling wolf tickets or getting out of Dodge and like white on rice. So just kind of explain why you use why they use that terminology, why you decided to do it that way.
Slang, that's the way blacks talked.
Okay.
Back then, in the 60s, late 50s, 60s. Don't pay a bit more, or ain't paying no never mind. This is the dialect.
Okay.
And it's nothing to be ashamed of, but this was our dialect. So this is the time it took place in, And a lot of blacks that would read this book, or they're going to relate. Or if a grandmother, they're going to relate. They're going to relate. So
Right, when they're reading it, they say, my grandmother used to say that or something like
and
that.
then, you know, I had one individual who, a couple of my characters have their degrees. They have their degrees. However, they still talk with that dialect. And that's not saying that they're ignorant.
Right.
They're at home. They're in their comfort zone. Hey, I'm around my cousins. What y'all doing over there? But then next thing you know, they can talk perfect English.
Right.
So they're not putting on airs like some people do.
Right.
So-
Just changing with your situation
Exactly,
and your
exactly.
circumstance.
Time and place for everything. That's what I say.
Being able to adapt.
Exactly, exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Sounds good. So something else about the book. I looked at the summaries on Amazon and Google Play, and it took me off guard a little bit, I must admit, because it talked about, you know, the 1960s, but then it just specifically mentioned, you know, Betty Jean Carter,
Right.
one of the characters. And then after reading the book, I find out, you know, she's talked about a little bit later. You have more characters and
Way
more
more.
families discussed.
Yeah, I do.
So I was
I
just
do.
wondering what made you focus on her as the summary. I mean, it gets people's attention, of
It
course,
does, it
but
does.
just wondering what made you do that.
Because Betty Jean, the character, that's my mother.
Okay.
And back then, they, you know, they used to say mulatto.
Mulatto.
Mulatto. She doesn't fit with the black race. She doesn't fit with the white race. Where is she? So she's having all this drama in her life of where she fit, who is her identity.
Okay.
But it's coming from all these other different characters around her. So when it's actually, this book is a treat because you have history. You have history in here. So I'm not going to get in depth, but if you really want to learn about the black race or the white race or Creole or the Native American, this is the book to read because this is about a particular person's life. So
And then you use the other characters.
to digest the things that go in within their life.
Right.
How does a black man own a plantation, a huge plantation, and have all these acres? Where it came from, great.
Okay.
Right.
And you show us that.
Right. That's it. Or how is this person European descent, but yet Native American, where you're going to see that all blacks weren't born into slavery?
Right.
That's how this book is. And one thing leads to another, up into, it comes from the Bayou all the way to D.C.
All the way to D.C. It
all,
sure
the,
does.
all the way to D.C. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then speaking about your characters, like I said, there's a lot of characters in there. What you do is you provide some flashbacks, like you're talking about your story. Then as you're talking about a character, you flash back to some of their life, like you said, to give the backstory.
Right.
Like I'll just mention a couple names. Pastor Joe.
Yeah.
And I like this one, Boogaloo. I just like the way it's written, written in there. And then Grandma Pearl, you talk about her
Right.
childhood, like you said, to give that background.
Right.
So what made you choose those individuals?
Because of their nationality, because what the misconceived of who they are and what they went through in life. And just because you're educated does not mean that you're exempt from BS that go on in life. Or just because you are a Native American and Irish and you're a beautiful black woman, they don't categorize you in something else. So it's a lot of different characters. A lot of things are dissected, their whole character from the time they were born up into where they are at present in the book,
Okay.
which reflects Betty Jean.
Okay.
Which reflects
Very good. So
Betty
now I
Jean.
got to go back and read it again and
Yeah,
look
I
at.
mean, because it's a lot. Because a lot of people don't understand that black people, or they say now African American. Where did that come from? Now I understand where the black came from, or the Negro, where that came from. But now you're saying that all black people are African Americans, and we're not, because a lot of people don't know. Well, tell me about Africa. Can't tell you nothing. But if you ask me about Native American, it's in the book. Migrated up in Canada, migrated down to upstate New York. I'm a part of the Iroquois tribe. However, I still got black in me. I still got Irish in me. Got Scottish in me. So how am I, or anyone else, an African American? You got to claim your heritage, know your heritage. Just don't accept something that society says.
Right,
Oh,
a title that's placed on you.
exactly.
Find out who you are.
Right, and that's read the book. You'll
Okay.
get it.
Sounds good. Very, very good.
You'll get it. You'll get it.
Okay, so speaking on that, I guess that ties right into it. So in your bio, you mentioned that this book was written before the Black Lives Matter movement.
Right.
And you shared what this novel is for. So
Right.
share that idea with our viewers, give them a chance
Right,
to hear what
to
you showed me.
understand. I mean, this was 10 years in the making before all this craziness was going on with Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter. To me, all lives matter. All lives matter, because you got to learn to live with your inner body as opposed to the outer body. Inner body meaning your spirit.
Right.
Because we all have one spirit and one goal, and that's to go to heaven. So with this, if you look at it as what race, color, creed type situations going on, it's different, and it's okay to be different. Your idea might not be good for you, I mean for me, but it's, my idea might not be good for you. Doesn't mean I hate you. No,
Right.
It's just different.
Just different.
It's different. So when you have different beliefs, your beliefs determine your behavior. And it's okay. That's what people really need to realize. It's okay to be different. But we all need to be the same in spirit. That's the difference. So that's why now I'm like, okay, now this book is here. When you read this book, you're going to learn a lot about different nationalities. The KKK is even in there.
It sure is.
And I'm like, what happened to Boogaloo in here? And he's an educated black man. Well, what happened to him? I accepted because that was the way of life, but it was due to ignorance. But I don't have anything against nobody, but know your background, know who you are, not what the next man is, but know who you are, and life will be better.
You're right.
Life will be better, and your belief will determine your behavior. I've always said that.
Okay.
I've always said that.
And then I like the way you sent it to me when you said that you wanted, people to just gain insight on race, color, and creed.
Race, color,
just
and
to know
creed.
who
We
you
are here. We are here. This earth is humongous. We were scattered amongst the earth to be different. So why not accept it? If God did it, why not accept it? Why are we hating each other?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
Because we're all going to be here.
Exactly.
So based on this idea of gaining insight and learning who you are, who would you say your target audience would be? Would it be anybody, or is there a certain group you want to reach? Or
I say 25 and older, but it targets every young adult. Everybody from 25 and up who has understanding or who has a problem with their identity or not understanding someone else's nationality. That's the target. If you want to know or digest this individual and how they think, read the book. Read the book, because it's a book of fiction, but it's still a whole lot of truth in it, because like I said, my mother went through hell with her own family members. With her own family members. And I mean, and things happen. Even in your family, your own family can be against their own race.
Right, you're right.
Their own race. So yeah,
So
I say 25 and beyond. 25 and beyond.
Okay.
So.
And I like that you keep saying it's fiction with a little bit of truth in it, because when I got finished, there are pictures in the back. So I was like, is this who this is about? So it's interesting that you would say that. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, Betty Jean's pictures, I mean, from the time she was born up until I think 56.
Okay. So is that your mom's name? Or did you change the name?
I changed the name. Her first name is Betty.
Okay.
But I changed the rest.
Okay.
But
so fiction with a little bit of truth.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's just the way it is. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So like I said, great book, great topic. Hope people pick it up. I do want to ask about the logistic parts of it now, because there are a lot of different ways that you could have gone about it. You said you were able to take your time. So you self-published your book?
I did. I did. I self-published it. And I did that to have control.
Okay.
To have control, because I enjoyed it. I learned about my mother, the mentality of people, and in the way of their mentality for certain situations that's going on. And I thank God for the book, because it was such a deep insight. And a lot of times me and my mother cried because of things that were happening. I was like, Ma, you okay? We're going through this. She said, yeah, I'm okay. And so I'm getting choked up, but 10 years, it's so much hatred in the world, and it don't have to be.
Right.
It don't. I hate you just because of your skin color. Well, peel the skin back. We still the same. We still the same. That's what I'm saying. People need to learn to live with the inner spirit instead of the outer spirit, because that's going to always be different. But I did self-publish.
Okay.
I did do that to have control.
And that's what you need.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to have control.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just jumping back a little bit, because you mentioned your mom and her crying over the book. Did you use her for any information or research for the book?
I did.
Okay.
I did. When I saw that the characters were gravitating towards her, and I was like, where in the world? Because I had no idea, Christine, where this book was going.
Okay.
So then when I talked to her, she said, are you writing about me? I said, well, subconsciously, I guess I am. So then next thing you know, all this stuff was happening, and then I learned about the plantation and the hidden room and the light, bright, damn near white woman living in the plantation home with the master and having
Right.
the hidden door. You,
I remember.
you know, George Washington had a hidden room.
Right.
So I was like, oh my gosh, wow. So yeah,
Okay.
I did a lot of research, like a lot of research.
Okay.
A lot of research. Even a lot of slaves did not come from Africa. I don't know. Some of them came from the Caribbean.
Right.
You know, and some of them actually, other slaves sold the slaves to masters from the Europeans. Yeah. So
Okay.
it's a lot of stuff going on.
Right, you did your homework, a
I
lot of
did.
information in
I
there.
did. Yeah,
So
yeah.
with that, so you got this one all out, or that's on paper, you got this one published.
Yeah,
Do you plan
yeah.
on writing any other ones?
I am, and it's called what the HE double hockey sticks. Like
Okay.
what the hell? Like things that people say that you can't believe that they just said that. Like what? Did they just say that? Oh, I cannot believe that. So, but these are things that actually happen around me that are actually true. So
Okay.
this book might take a little longer because it's not fiction. Everything is like these people actually said this.
Okay, and you writing it down, taking notes,
Every
huh?
day, every day, every day. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
sounds good. We look forward to that.
Okay.
And what I'd like to just do now, did you want to, is anything else you want to share?
Well, if the book, if you want to order the book, you go to SheilaMae.net.
Okay,
I have my own website, and then the blog, and you can leave a comment and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm excited.
sounds
I'm
good. Well, I'm excited, glad you're here, looking for more work from you.
Yeah, I'm glad to see you again too.
All right. So that's it. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
Like I said, I appreciate you taking the time to sit with us. And like I said, we're waiting for more stuff from you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Okay.
All right, we'll be right back. Someone Like Me, from the author's own words, is a fiction book with a whole lot of truth in it. Sheila Mae does a good job of telling the stories of different characters down in the Bayou, from relationships between mothers and daughters, husband and wives, to preachers and con men. You get a broad sense of varying dynamics and situations that occurred during those difficult times. I gave the Book Hub members a chance to share their reviews, and this is what they had to say.
I read the book almost to the end, and I thought it was great. It was really good.
So today we're reviewing Sheila Mae's book. One of the parts something that was my favorite part of the book was at the end when oh gosh, what's her name? Lily Mae finally decided to stand up for herself and for her daughter and beat the man that was abusing her mentally, physically. That was a good part for me because I was rooting for her because I didn't think that she would. One of the parts that one of the things about the book that was a little confusing was whenever you met a new character, she began to talk about the character and the history, and she did such a long talk about the character that you kind of lost focus of the actual story. And then she had to go back to the person. So any new character she introduced, she went into their whole life story, and then you got back to the book. So that was a little confusing, so you really had to stay focused on reading the book and making sure you knew exactly which character was doing that particular thing. I thought the book was a good read. I thought in the beginning I didn't really want to read the book, but I'm gonna tell the truth. I didn't really want to read the book, but as I got into it, it really was a read that you couldn't put down. I started it and I found myself reading even when I should have been doing other things, and so the book kept my interest. So for that reasons, I would recommend everyone get the book and read it. It's a good read.
I would like to thank Sheila Mae for joining me today and sharing her broad expertise in the arts arena. It is good to see a local woman taking the talents and gifts that she learned all throughout school, as well as some natural ability, and putting it to good use. We hope to see more works from her in the future. If you are an author and would like to be featured on our program, you can send an email to cmjohnson@laurel.md.us or call 301-725-5300, extension 2110. We would love to have you on the show. I'm Christine Johnson, reminding you to open a book and let it take you on your next adventure.